at 6:10. I can capture that in the meeting minutes. You do have a quorum with Commissioner Green, Douglas, and Finan. Randy Tironi is absent. Your council liaison, Adeline Jones, is here, and myself. Um, and we can move forward with, if someone wants to look at the agenda, you could either look at moving things around, tabling things, making adjustments, or you could make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay with the resumes.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
All right. Green. Okay, is everyone in favor of that?
Yes.
Okay, no opposition? All right, we'll go ahead and that. So you guys have an adopted agenda. The next item is public comment. And I don't know if anyone wants to make a public comment, Justin or Adeline? No? Okay, all right. So we'll have no public comment. And we'll move to item number 4. So this item I placed on your agenda. This is the commission meeting date and time, change, discussion, possible action. So you guys did approve this meeting date and time at a previous meeting, which I think it works fine. The only issue that we've ran into is that the Chamber of Commerce meets at 5:30, and we're kind of pushing their meeting by having this meeting at 6. So I wanted to make a recommendation that you consider moving your meeting time to 6:30. If that still works, if that date and time would still work for everyone, that would just alleviate some of the pressure. I think the chamber, Justin, is here from the chamber. Their meetings don't usually go up to an hour, so I think 6:30 would be adequate. And if there is a time where we need to make adjustments, we have rearranged City Hall, so our conference room now is much larger and can accommodate a larger capacity, and so we could utilize that room as well. So
I know that, sorry to interrupt.
yeah, no, go ahead.
I just know that when we came up with this date and time, we wanted to make sure that you could make it on these days because Wednesdays, I think you have work. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
an ongoing meeting at that time.
Okay.
I was just trying to text. I'm trying to take a course at Humboldt, but I don't know what time it's at. So hopefully, I think pushing it back would be fine, and 6:30 would.
And Mondays work for you?
Yeah, Mondays seem good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really good with the day and I'm okay with 6:30. So
Same for me. So
I move that we change the meeting to 6:30 on Monday.
Yeah, I'll second.
The second Monday.
I'll
what is
second
this?
it if that's a motion. Is there another pen somewhere? I think I have.
Sometimes you know what? Actually, look in the drawers. Sometimes there's pens in those drawers.
Yeah.
I got it. And then
Second Monday.
All right. So you have a motion and a second. And any public comment?
No, I would prefer 6:30 too, but I don't know if I'll be your alternate as soon as we get someone new.
Okay.
See.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Yeah, great. Thank you for that consideration. And item number 5. I wanted to provide you guys with a town square update. As you guys have probably noticed, it's moving ahead to full steam, and we're kind of getting to a point now where we're going to be installing the landscaping, bringing back the trees, putting the benches back. We're this week our plan will be pressure washing all of the concrete and sealing that, so it'll bring back kind of the luster of the color. Um, and then the splash pad has been installed. We're able to find some fish prints. They're not exactly are native fish. They're a little bit more on the Atlantic side on one of the fins, but I think it's close enough that it's still fun. Apparently, it's really difficult to find concrete stamps, and the contractor looked everywhere. I actually looked everywhere. We called Fish and Wildlife. We called everyone. I was like, there's got to be more to this, and there's a real limitation on concrete stamps. So if anyone needs like a side gig, maybe concrete stamps might be it. I don't know. But they're fun. So we were able to at least get a little something in there. Yeah. We will be coloring that too with it's an artesian stain and it's kind of a bluish green. So it'll have kind of a tannish border and then a blue green in the middle. We can't do that until the concrete's finished curing. So I think we have like 25 more days to be able to do that. So that'll be pretty. It'll give it a pop of color. But all the fountains are working and it's going to be really fun. And then we'll be installing sod. We were going to do hydro seeding, but just really feel like that's probably not the best option. Hydro seed's really hard to get going and it's really hard to keep weeds out of. So we're going to do the sod and that will give us kind of that instant greenery, which will be really nice because I know there's been concerns in the community that, there's a lot of hardscape and, there were some concerns about kind of losing that connection to the lawn and nature. And so I think that'll be nice to be able to have that back. The trees are all down at the corporation yard. They're doing really well. So we'll be bringing those back and replanting the trees. Um, and the Old Crows have volunteered to build the trellis structure. So there'll be a nice shade trellis structure that goes on kind of the eastern half of the eastern half of the southern side of the lot. So it'll kind of provide a barrier. But we have left that western um, portion open for a food truck location. And so we're actually working with the adjacent property owner. She's been doing a lot of cleanup work and trying to make some real inroads in that respect. And so we have all the electrical and everything ready for a food truck that could park there. And then we could set out like bistro tables and things. So the space just becomes a lot more usable. People can have lunch, dinner, different functions. It's got all the electrical for be able to have music. We have a plan for the Christmas tree. We'll be installing some infrastructure for that. Um, but it's really a nice usable space and I can't honestly believe how big it looks when you get out there. It's just really seems very expansive now, so it'll be nice to be able to have those art markets and farmers markets and things. We did install the shelter structure for the bathroom. As you guys probably know, we weren't able to afford the bathroom that we had initially thought. It was very expensive. It was over $100,000 just to purchase the bathroom. That didn't include any of the infrastructure or installation. So we are going with more of a temporary installation. All the plumbing was put in. So in the future, if we can afford a bathroom, we'll be able to install it and not have to tear up anything. But we are going to use just a porta potty in there. So, but it'll be covered by that structure. And we're going to see if we can do maybe like a vinyl wrap on the front door of it. So it won't look so kind of utilitarian and B&B style. But I did talk with Patricia Sennett the other day about doing some art panels for the bathroom structure on the outside. So the idea would be that we would utilize some of her artwork and have it blown up on vinyl banners, and then we would trim it and then hang them from the two sides of the structure. One side will be a community bulletin board because we promised Art Jones that we would install a community bulletin board as part of the project, and that way it'll be ADA accessible as well. So the whole pathway and all of the concrete areas ADA accessible. So Patricia was really excited, and I was really excited that she was excited, and so I think her art would be really pretty. So she's right now going through her portfolio to see, what kind of pieces she has that would look nice there. But I think it could be kind of you know, a little bit of an art gallery if we want to do like maybe a quarterly installation. It's kind of an easy thing to do. Paradise K has a really high quality printer that can print vinyl, and it's nice because we don't worry about the weather. But we could, make that a space to be able to showcase some art as well. So I think that will kind of soften up the space and provide some
And then
additional.
that's around the structure of the bathroom.
Yeah, so it'll be the south side and the east side. And it's pretty big. So I think we could, either do a couple, they'll be vertical, kind of vertical portrait focus. So either a couple on each side or one big one on each side or however. I know a lot of her artwork is kind of more of a vertical scape, a lot with like a lot of the colors and things. So I think we'll be able to find something nice to go there. Um, yeah, I don't know if you guys have any questions about the project to date. Obviously, we'll want to do a ribbon cutting at some point. I know in September, Gloria's working on some programming for around the H Street area for some markets and things, and it'd be nice to be able to kind of utilize the town square as well as part of that. So we're going to see kind of where we are in the project, but also maybe it's a little bit of music or things, but just starting to integrate that space will be. I think a nice addition. Oh, and then we have new lights, so that'll be nice too. And with the lights, we'll be able to do the banners. So that'll be something that we'll bring to Arts and Heritage is maybe doing seasonal banners. And whether we want to do that as like a project for artists, or if we want to put out a solicitation, or if we want to purchase some art, or um, if the commission wants to design something. But I think having some seasonal banners that hang there will be really nice too. So.
Do you have a date that you think it might be done by?
I
I
think
know
it's
it's
going to be done the end of this month is what we're
okay.
shooting for. I mean, there's still going to be some stuff that has to take place. I know we won't have the electrical in all the way. We're trying to get PG&E to move that date up, but right now they're giving us a date of March,
Okay.
which is kind of ridiculous. But they said that they think they'll be able to move us up in the queue.
Okay.
We will be installing something like a solar panel and a small inverter so that we can run the splash pad. Because I'm like, I can't not have that going for the
Right.
kids. It's going to be all
Right.
done and they're going to sit there and be like, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So we worked with the electrician to be able to have a hardwire system so we can plug in to whether that's like a little battery. It uses very, very little power to be able to operate it. So we'll get that going at least for the kids. But as far as like power for like a sound system or anything, we're going to be at the mercy of getting that PG&E hookup. So
Mhm.
but-
I think my only question, as far as like the art installations go and the printing on vinyl, I was
Mhm.
wondering if there was anything that we could print on that is more like eco-friendly.
Yeah, we've talked about that, and it's just kind of a tough one because it's really all about being able to sustain through the weather. And that's been kind of our trade-off is, not really wanting to use the vinyl so much, but then on the other hand, not being able to really afford, the kind of more durable surfaces like a metal or something that's
Yeah.
the price point starts to look really high. But I think in the future, as we start to look at more permanent installation. That's this on. We're doing the kind of same thing with our gateway signage and stuff. Right now, we're using the banners and trimming them out in wood, just because it's a cheaper price point. Thought we start to work towards those sustainable installations. So yeah, it's not that it feels dirty, but it's definitely isn't um, the direction that we want to go. But
There's probably no option. I mean, well, unless you do like bullet
mhm.
and then yeah, that's
Yeah,
gonna fade and rust.
yeah, and it just like I said, the difference in price points is so extreme that it's um the other side of it is just trying to think about limiting what we do with it as well. We've also worked to repurpose the banners, so we never just throw them away. They always get repurposed for something. I mean, anytime a public works crew, someone always needs something to be like a ground cover or weed mat or whatever. And even then, you're still like it's breaking down into the soil. Like there's so many trade-offs.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think at this point it's what we can afford with the thought though we need to work to something that's more sustainable and less impactful. Um,
Okay.
yeah. I know. I every time I say vinyl banners, I'm like, and then we're gonna do a vinyl banner.
Sometimes that's the same thing as, I mean, it's just
Yeah, it's all
Troy and
just
Baker.
yeah, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I mean, hopefully there's new products all the time coming out on the market. And it's something I can talk with Paradise K about too. We've been because they're a Blue Lake business, just thinking about or looking into other materials. There's new materials coming out all the time that are getting better and are more sustainable and less impactful.
Mhm.
I mean, I
There's
guess
also
we could say we have less trucking costs because we're getting it from our
right,
neighbors.
supporting local.
We're not doing the like for imprint or something, but
It made me think about the board now in front of the post office, right? The way the bulletin board, it has like an awning, right?
Mhm.
And then I don't know if there's anything like, or like the marquee that we have at Del Arte,
mm,
like it doesn't get water in there, but it's like a glass
yeah,
that
yeah.
you can put things in. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think there's in the short term with limited funds where our options are somewhat limited, but I think in the future as that's something that we have to think about is having more sustainable and long-term installations and not just you know, kind of the quick and easy way. But I think we'll get there eventually, but right now we are just a little bit limited.
Well, thank you for the update.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to capture a couple of
No,
notes here.
you're good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really great space. We were able to do quite a bit with what we have. Another part of it was, getting in the ADA accessible sidewalks and the ADA accessible parking. That was a huge problem for the city and really put us, kind of at the forefront of any potential type of, problem or litigation. So being able to utilize the grant to one, pay off the property so now the property's pretty well free and clear. We still owe a little bit on it, um, but not very much. I think it's like $12,000.
Where did we buy it from?
We bought it from the previous owner, Mr. Rennick. Um, so yeah, we bought that a while back, and we were able. So the city bought it. We took out a loan with Redwood Regional Economic Development Corporation. They gave us the financing, and then we were able to write in the purchase price into the grant. So we weren't able to purchase pay off the whole purchase price with the grant because there were some upfront costs when we initially went into escrow that was prior to a deadline that we had to meet. But we did receive almost $178,000 to put towards that purchase price. So that was great. And then being able to put in as much infrastructure as we had. We have utilized some street funds and things to help with the ADA parking, but that was a project that had been identified in our street program. And like I said, not having ADA accessible parking right next to a post office and in your downtown just really put us in a, kind of a bit of jeopardy for, being out of compliance. So, yeah, I think we've gone really far with the grant. And I think in the end, it's going to be a really nice, usable space for everyone. And like I said, it's not all concrete. There'll be a lot of lawn coming back, and I think putting the sod in will just kind of give us that immediate fix. So,
And
yeah,
how much was their grant for?
it was for 585,000. Yeah. So if you guys are okay with that, we can move on to item number 6. The art-based traffic calming installation. So you guys had started working on this quite a while ago. We had talked about art-based crosswalks, different art installations to help slow traffic down in different areas. And I know, we had kind of a lull and in conversation for a bit, but I wanted to put this back on as we're kind of moving forward with some other traffic calming. We have the traffic calming going on Greenwood. We did receive funding for through HCOG for a small traffic circle on G Street, just past the post office at the footbridge. And so that'll be a project that we'll be probably bringing back to you guys as well as Public Safety Commission to look at. Um, we've talked about improvements up on I Street as well. There's opportunities on I Street to do some installations that could help slow down traffic. There's talks of putting in a four-way stop. We did some pop-ups up there with the little mini roundabouts just to kind of see what the impact was. And there's definitely opportunity to um, revise and kind of revamp that design to be more impactful. But I think the mini roundabouts are a great opportunity, and they're also an opportunity to install art as well, whether it's a sculpture or mosaic or just using color to, kind of help bring attention to the space and also add some neighborhood vibrancy. So those are definitely opportunities. There is an opportunity on Greenwood. We are doing a couple of crossing areas that we've talked about possibly painting at least one of them um, with doing a project with the school and being able to do that is, I've seen a lot of art crosswalks around schools where they're just very colorful, really vibrant. Some of them are just, almost like the piano key style, but, just a different primary color going across. But it's an opportunity to add, something um, to that road, but also to increase safety and visibility and just awareness. People see those, and it just gets their attention, and it's like, okay, this is an area that I need to slow down, especially when we have so many distracted drivers. So that is another project that would be an opportunity to work with you guys. And I know in the past, you guys have set aside some ad hoc committees to be able to work on different things. You had one for sculptures, you have one for the fire hydrant painting project. And I don't know if
There ever was one for this one.
yeah, I don't know if we had quite gotten that far.
Yeah.
So, but it could be something if you did want to have an ad hoc. I think it's a good one to have because it's a little, ad hocs are just more flexible and you don't have to wait for a monthly meeting. And you guys could actually, a couple of you could sit down and talk. You could talk to the school, you could talk to staff, and really move a project forward more quickly than if we, keep it kind of confined to this structure.
So
So.
does the school know that you're thinking of this?
Yeah, we've talked with the school about it as well. There's been an idea to, do maybe as soon as school gets in, maybe do something with the kids, like a contest or a classroom project or something. But yeah, I think, we'll want to move on it fairly quickly though, because the rains are going to be coming.
Yeah.
We don't have a ton of time. And so maybe just a simpler project, like I said, some of the ones I've seen with just like, just the primary colors, it's kind of an easy one, but
What about crayons?
yeah, well, that's what we were thinking too with the primary colors of like the crayons and or the one fish, what is it? One
One
fish,
fish,
two
two
fish,
fish.
red fish, blue fish type, scenario right from the school could be something easy as well. But keeping it a little more straightforward and easy to, pull together. So I don't know what you guys think about that. Like I said, it would be, I think, helpful for staff if you guys did have an ad hoc, because we are going to want to start looking at the mini roundabout designs. And it'd be great to be able to rope you guys in and not lose time between meetings.
So you're wanting this ad hoc group would just kind of get some ideas.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
present some ideas.
yeah. The ad hocs can't take any action or, confine you guys to a specific course, but it does give capacity for the group to talk and dialogue, do research, do outreach, meet, and then be able to bring something back to the larger group as well.
A record of who was on the murals and sculptures, because I know we were on the
Murals.
Badawat.
Uh-huh. I thought we were on
project.
murals and oh, no, wait.
I thought that was part of it, wasn't it?
Maybe it was. That's why because there was such a long
Yeah.
pause in between. I
It's
wasn't.
a long pause, and then it's just hard to kind of work on that when there's with what was to there's nothing there yet, so
Sure,
we don't
sure.
even know have the complete design yet. So, um,
But yeah, I mean, basically, I'm asking because I don't feel like I can commit to more than one ad hoc.
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah,
if
I think the
that murals.
arts, I think the murals and sculptures was part of the Badawat
Okay.
project because that was
Mhm.
looking at the space where on the building where you could do murals and where
Right.
you
Right.
could do installations of
Mhm.
art sculptures and different
Mhm.
things. So I think it was all the same.
Okay. Cool.
And honestly, this could wrap into it as well. This doesn't have to be a specific traffic calming ad hoc, but you could, if that group wanted to also work on this too, like I said, it just gives a little more flexibility to be able to dialogue a little bit more.
Well, it seemed like it would be good to mix it or combine it with the fire hydrant because they're both
Oh, yeah.
kind of at the corners,
Mhm.
real specific.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that makes sense too.
I had told you that I was working with the fire hydrants, and I found some information, and you did most of the legwork on it.
Oh, it's great. No, I'm happy to have you helping me. I think we had good dialogue at our last unofficial meeting, so that was
Uh-huh.
really good. Well, are you okay if we add this project
Sure.
to that group? Okay, that works great.
So adding the hydrant to the art-based traffic calming.
Yeah, we'll just
Those are
combine them.
two. Okay.
That makes sense.
Mhm.
Great. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys have any other recommendations or ideas or considerations.
I mean, I know in the past we've talked about like that it can't be too distracting,
Hmm.
right? That it simple is good, um, but also don't want it to disappear because
Right.
then people won't pay attention to it.
Hmm.
Um, so those are just the things that I've had in my mind, but it's, those eyeballs that say slow down. I feel like it could be more. There could be more than that.
Yeah.
I find them distracting. I mean, I think people are like, "What does that sign say?" And then when you're so I don't particularly think they're whatever.
I know. I think there's a trade-off when you say, "Oh, you're distracting people by asking them to read something."
Right.
But I think the idea is that they slow down to read it. So there's, that awareness as well. Because I know we were all laughing. We're like, we're putting up all these signs and go slow, watch the road, but we're asking them to read this sign, which is not on the road. So,
So right now on Greenwood,
Mhm.
it shows you how fast you're going.
Right.
Is that helping at all?
It's what we've learned with traffic is you have to keep it relevant. People become numb and disengaged to things they see every day.
Mhm.
So
Right.
you have to keep mixing
Yeah.
elements in to get people's attention.
Mhm.
And so we do see a lot of people, slam on their brakes when they see,
Sure.
their speed. And so I think for a good portion of the users, it does bring awareness and it does help. And then you have that portion of, the users that have just become desensitized to it and don't even notice it. I mean, you can ask some drivers and they would tell you there's no speed sign on Greenwood. They don't even see it.
Right.
So, just one, there's like the physical um need to just slow people down. So that's like your speed tables and your chicanes and, curvatures in the road that force you to actually slow down. And then there's, more of the awareness strategy, whether that's signage or flashing radar or things that, get your attention to remind you that you need to slow down. So, it's kind of a combination of things that we're working on with Greenwood, especially. Greenwood is going to receive some hardscape features that will force people. So there will be two raised crosswalks that will essentially act as speed bumps.
Oh yeah.
There'll be more of the speed tables, so they're a little bit, less because we do have a truck route, and so we have to be cognizant of that. But it will force people to, I mean, some people will still go fast. I have a speed table on my street, and there are still some people who jump that thing, and but it really does force the majority of the people to slow down. It's been a huge help. And then there's some of the bulb outs and things that we've installed that make it feel like the road is smaller when it's really not. All the bulb outs on Greenwood that are being installed are the same width as if a car was parked there. They just make you feel like it's small. So that makes people go like, oh gosh, the road's a little narrow. I got to like really slow down. So there's some that's a little bit more mental, and then there's just the physical installations. So,
I mean, this is just thought that came to me right now, and I know that, it's probably best to have like a full discussion of things, but I always like the like signs that say like such and such crossing or whatever,
mhm,
and that, of course, because I love comedy, that it could change, like, aliens crossing.
right.
I don't know, like something silly that people,
Mhm.
I don't know if it make people slow down, but it make people notice it if it changed.
And I think it's hard to not slow down when it catches your attention,
Right.
So, and I think I mean, I think that's fun, and those
River
are
crossing or,
right.
I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
it is.
No, I hear you. I think that's
Horses crossing.
yeah. There you go.
Like,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity for that. We've also talked about, community signage in neighborhoods because we have a lot of neighborhoods that people just speed through as well. A lot of straight stretches. A lot of people just blow through stop signs. They just assume, they can
oh
just,
yeah.
and
Like they slow down, but they don't actually
mhm,
stop.
yeah. And that's honestly, that's one of the problems with stop signs, that we are concerned about. There's, um, the thought of putting a four-way stop up on I Street. And I get it, but I also know people are not going to stop at it, and what do you do at that point? You install something that, could become more of a hazard than a help. There'll be the people that stop, but there's going to be the majority that roll it or don't stop at all because they think they can see. And then you have this implied sense of security that, a kid's crossing the road because someone's going to stop at that stop sign and someone doesn't. So, that's why a lot of traffic designers are going towards, the traffic circles and the curvature of the roads and things because the people just don't pay attention and they don't respect the signage, and that just puts you in a really precarious situation. And it brings a lot of nervousness to you know to make that installation. So that's something that the city is concerned about, and dragging its feet a little bit on making a hard installation like that, with thinking that it might not serve the community in the best way possible or the safest way possible. So we have a lot of big wide roads in Blue Lake, and unfortunately big wide roads just serve speed really well. So
Yeah.
Wide roads and narrow or no sidewalks, so
right.
that's nice.
Yeah.
We usually walk in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a Blue Lake thing, I think.
Yeah,
You know,
I know.
even when there is a sidewalk, except now you guys will all have to walk up Greenwood because it's amazing. The sidewalks, I'm like, there's so much room. Like, it's so great. And you're not going to trip on them and fall. And, there's no cracked concrete. So, yeah, so yeah, so if we can just kind of rope that into that group, that would be great. And honestly, I'm not really sure who. I know it's Sherry and
Maybe Elizabeth could do that one too.
yeah, I don't remember if
I
Um,
don't think there was anybody
I
else
kind of
that
think there
said,
wasn't.
I
Yeah.
just said that
Okay.
I would find out information for you. Which I did.
Okay. Well, we'll have that for future agenda. Great. So number 7 is the fire hydrant art project. And that is something that Sherry and I have been working on. And I don't know if you guys, I don't know if we talked about it the last meeting. Julie, you were here. I don't know if Alice, it's been such a long time since we've all been together. So essentially, we have talked about doing a fire hydrant art project, just similar to what a lot of communities are doing, utilizing kind of that utilitarian infrastructure that needs to be repainted anyways. Why not turn it into a pop of art in a community? Um, so we have Sherry did a bunch of research on what other communities are doing, and then I kind of took a first stab at kind of compiling that information together to be able to come up with an actual program. It's pretty straightforward. I think the one area that I'm kind of wrestling with right now is whether we had talked about doing like an adopt a fire hydrant project where entities could adopt it and then they would be responsible for it, but they would also be responsible for paying for their own paint and stuff, which I think that's reasonable. But I wasn't really sure thinking about, we've got a pretty small community, and we've got a lot of projects out there that we're always asking for donations. I know we're looking and soliciting donations for the bike park right now. And I don't know if it's the best time to put out another like, hey, $250 and you could do this, or we keep it reasonable and just do you want the entity to adopt the hydrants for at least a year or two, I think. Um, so they can be responsible for it. So if something happens, someone spray paint, they come back and repaint it, and they usually keep it, cleaned up and touched up. So you want to have that longevity. But thinking about putting a dollar amount to it, I'm kind of leaning more towards thinking that it's just, you know, someone can adopt it themselves and pay for their own paint, but not put like a dollar amount to it. Some communities do like for $250, you can adopt this hydrant and paint it.
Mm.
But I don't know. I think to kick this off, we should just, I think it's fine for like, the Chamber of Commerce to adopt one, the fire department, maybe the Little League, the Lager Bar, Del Arte, but not put maybe a dollar amount
Well, the
connected to
dollar
it.
amount was for the artist to pay for their time,
Yeah, and
their work.
I was thinking maybe we just leave it up to each person to do find their own artist to do it. I think that's kind of what I'm seeing more communities do, is that they just figure it out themselves. They say, we're gonna adopt this fire hydrant, we're gonna be responsible for it, and we're gonna paint it. And then they figure out if they want to pay someone, or maybe they've got someone in their organization that just wants to do it, or um, and then that takes kind of the burden off of us too, to worry about finding an artist or facilitating any of that. And it seems like it works out okay. So I don't know. That was kind of what I was
You could
thinking.
try it and see, what
Yeah.
the quality is too, like what that, you know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like the nice thing is that it would employ some artists,
Mhm.
if there was a pay structure, but
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. It's a very limited like canvas.
it is,
When
yeah.
you
I mean, Arcata did it.
Yeah.
How did they do it? Did you all?
They had a grant. That's
Yeah.
Right.
they
Yeah.
had a big grant, and they paid, I think, $750
Mhm.
per artist. So, but they had to provide their own paint.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. There's other places that we found that one place it was $200 and the city bought the paint.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I think, that we're just a little bit limited on, honestly, I think we're more limited on staff capacity than we are on funds to do it. And I kind of like almost like it makes me a little bit sick to my stomach because it's like I know it's going to be myself or Emily, and we're going to have to, facilitate this and organize it. And I'm just, right now we're a little bit maxed out. So that's why I thought, maybe
Yeah.
if we make it easier, and I think, we could reach out, like I would think the Saddle Club would be interested. If we went down the list of groups, Saddle Club, Little League, Chamber of Commerce, Fire Department, Parks and Recreation, the Grange, you know, uh, Del Arte, like we could easily find, you know, 10 entities that would
Mhm.
be willing to take it on. Um, and
There's 10.
I think,
I think we had
yeah,
like 12 or something.
yeah.
Kept last time
Yeah,
here.
we have, yeah, because I have them all mapped out. Because in the
Oh, I meant the groups that.
yeah, we made a
Oh,
whole list of all the
yes,
groups,
yeah.
and yeah,
So
so
like Del Arte, would Del Arte, feasibly go buy the paint and find an artist to do it? Or, I mean, if you were proposed to do this, or would you say, okay, if you give us the paint, we'll find somebody to paint it? Or, I mean,
I mean, we don't have a lot of extra funds,
yeah.
so if we had some paint that we already could use, and I mean, we do, it's yeah, it would be. I mean, we definitely have visual artists on staff, but also time and capacity
hmm
would be a question as well, as
yeah.
far as
And you might find someone like maybe a Green Diamond would pay for Del Arte to do it or something. I think we could
yeah, we
help to
would probably need to find
facilitate
some
that.
kind of
Yeah.
granting to help.
I know we talked about the fire department because the fire department wants to be a co-sponsor, that we would paint our own, we could pull that off. So, um,
And so then we were also talking about, if you're an artist, all you really need is three colors
mhm,
of white, that
yeah.
perhaps we could get, see if pencils would
Yeah, I think we could help with that. Help facilitate some.
Donations.
do
Yeah.
donations or either give us, like a really good, and then if we had the gallons of paint
hmm
and whoever does it, we can give you, I don't know, or whatever. So
Yeah.
we could give people the paint. I feel like,
I think that's doable. I think
yeah.
that's really doable. Yeah. I feel comfortable doing that. I didn't feel as comfortable facilitating every single one, through the city to be like, okay, now I'm working with you. This one, I'm gonna get you your paint, like it's, but I think for sure we could do, like you said, you can mix color, if you have your primary colors there, you can mix those and they're supposed to, I think in the program there's a limit to the number of colors you can use because they want the hydrants still to be able to be seen and not be so like, you can't camouflage them or anything. So, it's pops of color and things versus, a real crazy paint job. So, but yeah, I think the city could definitely facilitate that. And we do have a program with the resource center is written into our new MOU where Parks and Rec and the Resource Center each commit $1,000 each to put towards small community projects. So we'll have $2,000 each year to put towards, 250 to this too. So that could be something. Maybe that program buys the paint, and then we just facilitate getting it out to the artists. That would be fine.
And that might be really fun to have it done like all on one day, like
That and yeah, yeah. And that was what I was seeing that other groups were doing was like they do a paint day. So everyone that comes in, they get their paints. I mean, they'll go out beforehand and clean, they prep all their fire hydrants and get them all ready, but then everyone does a paint day so that the community can come out and just really make it fun. Yeah.
snacks.
Yeah. I think it would be really fun. So I think in that, like I said, that respect, I think it's very manageable.
I know that like Hensel's, when they do their donations for school, they like to do it in the summer. So hitting them up for it
Yeah.
now would be.
Yeah, I could reach out to SIVA and see if, what they might be willing to. We buy a lot from
Yeah.
those groups, so I can hit up ACE and
So how
um
many did you say fire hydrants? Did you say?
I think
10 to
I mean I
12.
think 10 to 12 we could start out with.
Yeah.
That would get quite a few.
So it would take more than a gallon of, it would be like 5 gallons of primary color
Mhm.
each.
And then would you need to do like a primer on there?
Yeah, there's some regulations. This luckily reinventing the wheel here. So there's some pretty good regulations on what you can and can't paint. We can't, we obviously don't want to paint the caps, and we want to make sure that that visibility isn't reduced. So there's a whole um, list of regulations that come with it. Um, so in this instance, they regulate the type of paint that you can use. You have to prep it. You have to have a drop cloth and tape around the bottom so you don't get anything on the sidewalk. Um, you can't prevent the functional use of the hydrant. So all of the openings and connections have to be, you can't paint them. So, if
Yeah.
we come up and we need to connect into the hydrant, they can't be painted so we can't
Right,
open them.
right.
Um,
It's not
paint
good.
may not be all black, all white, or dark camouflage green, or use patterns and or designs that reduces the hydrant's visibility. Paint colors may not be the same color as the vegetation or items surrounding the hydrant. Black paint cannot cover more than 20% of the hydrant. Red paint may not cover more than 50% of the hydrant. They want you to use bright, vibrant colors. No attached or added objects. Design must be appropriate for public places. Um, no endorsements. No offensive, derogatory, or obscene graphics. No gang tags. No logos. No text. So it's pretty. It's a
Yeah.
pretty well
Yeah.
thought out list. And so once you get down to it, your paintable surface starts to really minimize.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think if we put it out for adoption and hit up all the groups that we said, it seems like that's a good place to start. This I can reach out to our partners who we buy a lot of materials from. So we buy from the Mill Yard, Almquist, um, Ace in McKinleyville, Ace in Arcata, Sunnybray Ace. So I think, we could solicit donations or a really reduced price on some paint. We'd be happy to do that. Um, yeah, and I think it's something we could kick off. If a lot of communities are doing this like end of summer into the fall. So, I mean, why not? Like if we can pull it off, I can take this idea back to the council at their meeting in 2 weeks. Um, just for full approval, but the fire department is fully on board, like the project, and like I said, would like to be a co-sponsor. So it could be the Blue Lake Arts and Heritage in partnership with the Blue Lake Volunteer Fire Department. So it's just a nice community building
Yeah.
project. So
I know there was a question about the utility box in front of
yeah,
Del Arte.
yeah.
We don't own it. It doesn't belong to us. It
Okay.
belongs to
Is it AT&T?
it's a communication group. I'm not sure
Okay.
yet, but and telecommunications, so probably AT&T. And it does service more than just us. It services other people in that area.
Okay.
So I guess we'd have to ask them.
Yeah.
I'll have to do a little more research. I was only able to do a little bit, but found out that it's not owned by us, so we
Okay.
can't just go ahead and paint it.
Right. If you can find out whose equipment's in there, that
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
great. I mean, they're doing utility boxes all over, but that one especially would be
Right.
great to
Mhm.
do something
Yeah,
with.
it's like right there.
It's such a
because,
weird, yeah.
yeah.
And it always gets tagged and stuff.
Yes, it
So,
does. I went and took a picture of it today, and I was like, oh, it's got tags on it. I
yeah.
never noticed that, but it's got
Hmm.
like, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that
it
would
would
be
be
great.
it might be cool to do some really cool, um, you know, uh, art with graffiti art, but
Yeah.
now it's just initials and things like that.
Okay, great. I think we have some direction. So what I'll do is I'll synthesize the information and have a full packet. But if those rules and regulations seem acceptable to you guys, and then I can put it on for council at their August meeting. Just I think we'll just put it on as a consensus item. I can't imagine that the council would not support it. So, and that's part of this commission's uh, kind of charters to do these types of projects. So I think that's great.
So I'm kind of unavailable to help until after the beginning of September,
Okay.
but after that, I can work with you.
Okay.
I mean, we can drop a letter
Yeah.
to send out to the different
Great.
organizations. You probably would be more effective at getting donations from these places that you shop regularly, but
Yeah, we'll just kind of be like hey, we spend a lot of money here.
I mean, instead of me or one of
Yeah, I'm
us
happy
going
to do
in,
that for
that
sure.
you would
Yeah.
probably get more without explaining
Yeah.
as much detail, but I will be available to help
Okay.
better that.
Yeah, I think that you'll be a great asset as far as outreach to the different groups and
Okay.
and then just kind of help organizing,
Right,
the activity, the little kickoff. And yeah, I love the idea of doing it all in one day and just
Mhm.
making it a really fun, type of
Mhm.
project. So,
And I think too, we could get like other supplies. Like I have a bunch of tarps for
oh,
painting.
that would be
that
great.
I
Yeah,
can
drop cloths and
use
stuff.
for
Mhm.
things.
Right.
So, but I would imagine that we all.
We can use all of our vinyl banners that we're
There we go. Are you visual? Um, I've
Yes,
done
she
all
is.
kinds of different things, but I think it's for house painting is
Yeah.
mostly what we used it for.
Gotcha.
I use it for everything else too. So
Great.
hydrant painting.
Fun stuff.
Mhm.
Great. Well, if you guys are okay, we could move on. So the last item you guys have 7, it's supposed to be item number 8. Have been having literally the worst time. I think it's a conspiracy. We
Our
cannot,
numbers were not right last time.
we cannot get this right. I don't know,
Okay, so 8,
no matter what.
9, 10.
It's like we could say Bertha is messing with us when things go weird in the office, but this has been an ongoing issue. Bertha Perigo.
Oh.
Goes to Carrigal.
Yes.
I see. I see.
Ah. Well, Vicky's convinced there's nights that Bertha's having fun with her. So item number 8 is the ad hoc committee updates for murals and sculptures. And I'm not sure that there's
Well, again,
Yeah.
I think that we haven't really, I mean, we haven't done.
Yeah, I think the last kind of action that we took was, or that I know you took, was walking around town and noticing little and
Mhm.
other people I think in the group did as well, noticing little places that
Uh-huh.
could have
Uh-huh.
murals,
Uh-huh.
which Frank,
yeah,
Frank,
and then
right?
Sherry
And it's
helped
done.
Frank get that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing.
it looks great
Yeah.
at that little the
Mhm.
creek.
Yep.
Yeah, in fact, I was taking my nephew. We went for a bike ride the other night and we stopped there because that corner is just really a bad corner. And I'm like,
Mhm.
stay on the sidewalk. He's quite the weaver on his bike. And so he stopped there and he's like, have you ever seen this mural? This mural is so wonderful. I was like, it is. He's like, Aunt Mandy, it's just like hidden there. But then all of a sudden it's just there and
Yeah.
it's so pretty. I was like, it
Yeah.
is. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just loved it. He just thought it was the coolest thing because it didn't used to be there.
Yeah.
He's like, I think that guy just cut his bushes down and then there was a mural. I'm like, well, it didn't just pop up. Like
Yeah.
someone had to paint it, but yeah. So yeah, it was great to just have that start to pop up. Yeah, and hopefully, we'll keep working at it and there's lots
Mhm.
of other opportunities around the community.
And I think I mentioned this last time, but we talked about this, which was a long time ago. But there's some really fun things you can do with like cracks and
Mm-hmm.
different things
Oh,
on sidewalks and
yeah.
sides that you can turn it into a little portal into some
Yeah.
other world. That
Mhm.
there's a lot of I'm sure on Pinterest we could find a lot
Mm-hmm.
of cool.
They come through on Facebook every once in a while.
Yeah.
Somebody's.
Yes.
Very fun. I know
Or
we
use
need
some
someone.
foliage that becomes the hair of the
Yeah.
Right,
picture
right.
that
We need someone in the community that just starts doing that, like what would they call it? Oh my gosh.
I mean it's kind of Banksy X.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Uh-huh, it
for
is.
sure.
We need a Banksy.
We do. We need someone to start it. So I think we're also scared to get in trouble. Too polite. Okay, well we'll just keep that on so as you guys start to meet regularly now and we can keep those
Yeah, I mean, I
conversations
guess
going.
I'm curious about because Frank found, right? He found the artist and just kind of made it happen. So if the kind of action is that is like find people with things that they wouldn't mind it happening on their property and kind of
Frank
Or-
paid for it.
he did pay for it, yeah.
And he paid Sierra for it.
which is great.
Yeah.
Finding if people were willing to do that, or is
Mhm.
it like finding city property that then we find artists to, I don't know.
Mhm.
It feels like a few different ways to find people to do that, but
Sounds like it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what you guys will end up doing is being kind of that community voice, and as opportunities arise, like Sherry did with Frank, to kind of help facilitate that, taking the discussions you have here and then kind of projecting that into the community for opportunities, and just being kind of an advocate for art as well. Government's so linear, but you guys really do become the community voice too, which we've needed.
I think Sierra, who painted it, she's always looking for money and work,
Oh, okay.
and from what I understand or see from our Facebook.
So she might be willing to do more. And
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Great.
I
And
have
did
no idea what he
it,
paid her or anything, but
sorry.
Sierra Rose, that's what she goes by.
Okay.
She used to work with the plumber guy. What was his name? No, right over here by the brewery. He had an old house, and we used him so many times. Anyway, that's how I first met her. But she's
Okay.
from this area. She kind of was on the spectrum, but she'll go and paint people's pets,
Oh, neat.
and I just see sometimes she's not quite got a house or home, so she was living in a truck and looking for work, and so I'm not sure of the status totally, but it seems like she's always kind of footloose and fancy free and willing to do something.
Nice. So
Well,
she
she
did a
did
great
beautiful
job.
work,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was amazing.
All right.
Great. So future agenda items, we'll bring back the murals and sculptures. We just kind of keep that as a running item. The fire hydrant, traffic calming, we'll keep that as a running item, and that we do need another person for the hydrant traffic calming group. And then I think at the next meeting, if you guys have another commissioner, you guys will probably want to kind of rearrange your commission positions, a chair and a secretary for that. So, and then I should hopefully be able to bring you back some updates on the Botawat project as well, and some of the master planning work as well.
Okay.
So we'll have that. There's lots of good, exciting things. Well, if you guys are all right to adjourn, someone could make a motion, or if you have anything else you want to add to future agenda items. I don't believe there's any public comment or anything. You guys want to jump in? No?
I can make a motion to adjourn.
I will second
Okay, all those in favor?
it.
Opposed? Okay, you guys are adjourned at 7:10.